Hi, everyone. Welcome to Faith Stories. And thank you for always tuning here to see what we post every time. For returning subscribers, we love you. Thank you for subscribing to this channel. On this channel, as you know, we chronicle the faithfulness of God. What we do is to showcase that our God is good, our God is alive, and is interested in giving us the best life. So you've read the story of the woman with the issue of blood, and you're wondering, oh, that's like decades ago. What we're trying to highlight on this channel are like modern day stories, modern day testimonies of people that you can relate to, people that you even probably know, and in so doing, you're able to really understand how God is working with us in this modern day. So thank you again for joining us today. So today I have with me Sabrine and Michael Brown. Welcome, 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 welcome. Thank you for joining us. So, as a way of starting, we usually like our guests to share how they came to know God. Can you briefly share with us how you came to know God?
So a friend of mine invited me to a church called Solace House in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and that's where my faith walk really began, because I began to see God for myself, not because my parents told me to or because of the conventionality of it. Just simply because I really wanted to, and I had a fire and a passion. Over the years, things changed. I didn't just um, walk because I thought it was the way to go. I started to study. I went all the way back to African mythology and things of that nature, and I learned a lot. And it kind of shifted things. It went from being this practice of spirituality to actually living it. And honestly, in that time, my faith got deeper in God because I started to really experience life on a solid level, right? And so I would say during that time of me learning and going through my life journeys and in a lot of ways pulling away from the church, my faith actually grew because I was able to see God for myself, and not just because, oh, you're supposed to go to church on Sunday and you're supposed to read your Bible. It was like I was living those things. And so here I am now, continuing my faith walk, still learning, still growing, not perfect in it, but just grateful that I am where I am.
Wow. Beautiful. Thank you. So over to you, sir.
Yeah, so pretty much, growing up in it, growing up in the church with my family, as far as my background and stuff goes. Um, and then just, make a long story short, just living life, having different experiences and knowing of a higher power, greater than myself or anything here. And, you know, believing in that whatever energy that you put into it, you'll receive that back. So, um, in a nutshell, that's kind of my story because I just believe in the energy that you put in, you will receive. So
Thank you for sharing that. So, can you take us back, Sabrine? Can you take us back to the moment when you were diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer? And how did your faith, you said you're still growing, you're still learning, you're still developing your relationship with God. How did your faith respond to that news in the beginning? And how did it evolve as you processed the reality?
That's so funny. That was actually my anchor. Most people wouldn't have known that this was something that I was experiencing unless I said it. And you hear the saying, "You don't look like what you've gone through." That was literally me the entire way. I had always had short hair, so even when I went through chemo and things like that, most people are like, "Oh, just Sabrine, just his bald head." My faith, I had to have it. When you're facing mortality, like, you really don't know whether you're gonna live or die, right? And I'm at stage 3, the stage right before it gets really crucial. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't have a family history. I had no underlying health conditions, no genetic predisposition. And so for me, my faith was all that I could lean on. I because when you don't know, where else do you really go? So I had to go to the place that I found solace in, and that was God. Thank God I had a very solid group of friends around me. Now, my friends, on the other hand, those are the church mothers. Those are the ones who were raised in the church. They're pastors' kids and things like that. And so for me, having their support meant everything to me. The day before I went to get checked, I was performing at the Apollo, and I had made it all the way to the semifinals. And I did not want to perform that night because I knew something was wrong with me. And so I remember we didn't have dressing rooms, but I kind of made my own dressing room. And so there was a room that I was getting ready in, and there was a Bible in the corner. The Spirit told me to go to the Bible, and whatever I opened to was for me. I'm just thinking I'm tripping, but I indulged. And so I opened the Bible and I landed in the book of Job. Now, I knew a little bit about Job, but not much. So I immediately called my friend Jonelle and asked her, I'm like, "Girl, tell me a little bit about the story of Job." And I was telling her, like, the Spirit is telling me that, I need to, look at the Bible, and whatever I landed on was for me. And she said, "Girl, you're in your Job season. Job was a pious man. He believed in God and so forth. But he lost everything. He lost his wife, he lost his health, he lost his flock. And because of his faithfulness, of course, he went through his emotions, and he's like, "God, what are you doing to me? Like, what is happening?" I had that same experience. And in the end, God gave him a double portion. And in that moment, I'm thinking, what that got to do with me? Like, what does that have to do with my life? And little did I know that the next day, my entire life would change. My Job season would come about. And so for me, I had to have that faith like Job. I had to know that God got me. I remember his promises. I know that he said that he'd never leave me nor forsake me. And I had to go back to those places where, my mom was taking us to church, and I would hear these scriptures, but I didn't really understand them because I'm a kid. So I'm having to go back and really hold true to this. Like, I know what his word says. I know what's been driving me all these years. So I have to hold fast to those things. And honestly, it became as difficult as it was. it was the smoothest that I imagined could happen. And a lot of that was because of my husband. And although, like I said, he said, he's developing in his faith, and, he comes from a space of just, spirituality. Like, I know there's a higher power. I know that there's something greater than myself, and I lean into that. But he never really like concretely said, oh, I'm a Christian, or I'm a this, or I'm a that. But him and his strength and what he's done allowed me to get through what I was going through so smoothly. And it's funny that his name is Michael, and in the Bible, Michael is an archangel who was designed for warfare, and who had conquered the enemy. And I'm like, wow, like he doesn't even understand it. He think he's just going through, and I'm just a spiritual man, but you don't even know that God has really appointed you for a time such as this. So he really became an anchor in a crazy time. So yeah.
Wow. Wow. So thank you very much for sharing that. So over to you, Michael. When I was reading Sabrine's testimony, she indicated that she had given you a way out, out of the relationship, to say, I don't want to saddle you with this, I'm probably facing something. Stage three is so, oh my God, you know, it's a stage where you're like, okay, it's over,
Yeah.
and let me deal with my life. I don't want to drag you down with me, as as we like to say. How why didn't you take the out? And what was your firm confidence in, to say, okay, I'm gonna stay with her? Did you know she was gonna survive? And why did you choose to stay?
To the latter, second to the latter. I knew she was going to survive. It was just I'm for disclaimers. I'm pretty cut and dry when it comes to a lot of things, and this was no different. Um, it was just another assignment from God. That's how I look at it. Like, I always believe in whatever you're given, whatever cards you're dealt, a task that, it's just a task that we're given, an assignment, which is going to, lead to a test. And that test, is what makes our character. And depending on how we
Mm,
succeed in that, either we build our character or our character breaks. And so that's how I look at life in general. And this situation was no different, regardless of the severity of it. I wasn't too worried about it at all. And, it was honestly the way out, out was never an option because I've already saw who she was. And I knew that going through this was going to be the ultimate test. And I knew she was going to be good. I knew she was going to be okay because I was going to be okay and I was going to make sure she was okay. So, in a nutshell, that's pretty much what it was. I never wavered from it at all because I just believed it was just going to happen, So, and again, it's just an assignment, and we were going to succeed. So, because we were going to put the work in and make sure that happened. So,
Mhm.
wow. You're actually very right. I think it's Romans 8:15 that says affliction produces. And that's basically what you just said. Like, you knew it was a test, she was going to be okay, and you decided to stay. But at any point, did you ever question God?
no, not at all.
I did.
Now, Sabrine, how, when I'm sure that at some point you got to, like, I don't know whether it's rock bottom, but when you got to the lowest of lowest, and at the point, how did you navigate those seasons? And did you? So it's like two-part question. When you got to the lowest part, how did you navigate? And did you at any point just wake up and you're like, God, what are you doing? You know?
Absolutely. Many a times, in the beginning, I would say I was pretty mild about it. I cried about it. I went through my emotions, but I knew that a big part of it was mindset. We underestimate the power of stress. Like I said, I had no underlying health conditions. I actually gained weight after being on all the steroids and the medicine and things like that. And so, um, your stress can kill you, right? And so I'm thinking in terms of like, okay, I don't want to add stress on top of the stress that I already had. Shout out to my mom and my sister for coming from Houston, and just being that light to me. We would make light of those situations. So, when I had to, get a mastectomy or whatever, which was, I wouldn't say, honestly, it wasn't the lowest point, but it was a scary part of my life because I didn't want to in the beginning. I'm like, I'm not getting rid of my girls. Like, I love my girls, right? This is not about to happen. But after chemo, I was declared cancer free, but cancer cells hide. And so, and the tumor was still there. It was very small, but it had involved the skin. And so my doctor, he's constantly calling me like, look, Sabrine, like, I'm calling you. I'm just checking on you. I really think you should do this because if it comes back, it can come back more aggressive, especially because of where it is. I'm just telling you to, consider all options. So when I had to go through that, everything went through my mind. I'm like, first of all, like, God, like, there was a small period where I'm like, God, are you punishing me? I'm thinking back over my life, like, what did I do? Like, I mean, do you hate me right now? But then again, I had to look back to the testimonies in the Bible. Look at the stories in there. So many people went through, I mean, all kinds of things. And sometimes we can confuse good times with God times. And what I mean by that is we think that just because it's all good, that it's all God. And just because it's all bad, that it's all the enemy. And it's not. Sometimes God takes you through things to stretch you. And oftentimes it has nothing to do with you. Sometimes it does because you learn a lesson. But sometimes it is for other people. And God has shown me that. And so my second thought to me getting a double mastectomy was, would he still be attracted to me? Like, is he, how is it going to look? And all of these things, it was involved in my breast. So I had to remove a nipple. Like, it was crazy. And I remember shout out to my surgeon, Dr. Asari. And I remember him saying, well, look at it like this. You'll never have to wear a bra again. And we laugh about it. And so, making comedy of it, making light of it. My family does a really good job of that. And so I really credit a lot of that to them. And I'm pretty positive myself. A lot of the darkness, I guess you could call it, didn't come until after everything was done, when I could sit with it like, oh, this happened to my body. Like, oh, this really took place. So I would say I probably had my most mentally challenging times after everything. Like I said, the 16 rounds of chemo, I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going to get all frail and skinny and I'm weak and he's, this is not going to happen. He's not going to want me or whatever the case is. I ended up getting thick. I lose my breast and again, it works out. Then radiation. And I'm like, that was the point where I'm like, okay, God, you're doing a lot right now. Now, radiation, come on now, like this can't be real. But through it, like I said, I didn't even realize how many people I was inspiring through every little sector of my life. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful God gave me this mindset. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my students because my students they don't even understand. And I get emotional talking about my students, how they've impacted me and how they've pushed me and inspired me in so many ways. And so for me, it was like I was a mother already, like I'm fighting for my students. I got to get to class. So yeah, I question God a lot, a whole lot. I questioned him so many times, but there came a point where I stopped questioning and asking, why me? And I said, why not me? There's something greater on the end of this. And I remember vividly being like pulled in for a lung biopsy. That was kind of like the shake up moment for me because the tumor was so close to my lung. And I remember the spirit saying to me, this isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. And I just started to laugh and a peace came over me. And so I'm just still learning what God is going to do with this. I know he's not done. What I shared on social media is just the start. I don't know where he's going to take it, but I do know that it is purposeful and I'm grateful that he chose me. So
Now, I just want to take some seconds to reflect over your journey. And how did you see God. You sharing your story, I can already pick some things. The village he gave you,
Mhm.
that is God, showing himself. In what other ways did you see God that made you confident that no, this is not unto death.
Mhm.
This There is a purpose in this journey.
I would say the way things lined up. It wasn't like I just got hit with a bunch of things and nothing worked out. It was down to, and I bring up my husband a lot because he's a big part of the story. We were dating for only about 6 months, roughly. So the fact that I had him who was as strong as he was and as confident as he was, and he really meant what he said, that showed me um, God in a storm. Not only that, even with the insurance, most people, have difficulties with insurance. They hate their doctors. Nothing works out. I went to the urgent care, uh, 3 times. On the third time, I went on Flatbush Ave, and the doctor, the nurse who was talking to me, she was going to give me the same thing, like, hey, just, find you a primary care. And I'm like, direct me where to go. It wasn't until I showed her my chest that she's like, oh, let me hurry up and go get this other doctor. So she like sees my chest and she goes and gets the main doctor, who happens to be my student's mom. If I didn't meet her, she would have never referred me to this gynecologist. Now, the gynecologist that she referred me to is very booked. And so the fact that she squads me in for the next day was like, God is ordering this. And so I went in there, and she knew one of like the head surgeons in Brooklyn. And I'm like, okay, perfect. Again, it is difficult to get in these positions. And so the fact that she was just able to make a phone call and like, hey, take her right now, was crazy for me. Like, everything moved so rapidly. Down to my job. I worked at a charter school in New York, and it was a very high performing charter school. They did not play that missing a bunch of days and all of that stuff. Like, it was very militant. Um, the way they handled me, they're like, look, Jolly, you still on the payroll. We got you. Just heal yourself. That wouldn't have happened to anybody else. And even some of my coworkers, like, they must love you, because like they would dare like do that for us. My students and their parents, they sending me gifts and doing all this, making sure that I'm okay. The principal, I mean, everybody just rallied around me. So I didn't have to worry about some of the same things that most people had to worry about in terms of finances and things. When I finally did get cut from my insurance, because I stopped working, um, not long after, we were in a financial position to pay for it for a little while. After that, got cut off, um, I got another insurance like right away, and then we got married, and I ain't have to worry about it. It was like the way things just fell into place. I knew it was God. It was like this. It's too perfect. It's like perfection in the most imperfect situation. So it was like, I don't know. It almost felt like I was being carried, like, spiritually. I was being carried through the entire thing like a baby. I felt God like saying, like, come on, Sabrina, I got you. I'm not leaving you here. Don't stay here. It's so hard to explain until you actually go through it. Like, when God really is holding you, people, tell those stories, but I'm telling you, when you're in it, you just know it's God. It's like when people say, how do you know somebody loves you? When you just know. It's hard to explain. The same thing with God. It's hard to explain. You just know. And I'm like, God really loves me. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So
When you said, how do you know God loves you? Just look to your side. Okay, so I will go to Michael before I come to you, Sabrin, to ask my last question. There might be people watching this, who are maybe their partner is going through something, very traumatic. I would want you to address it from the angle. Their partner, their fiance, or going through something traumatic, and they're thinking, maybe this is God giving me a way out. maybe this is the universe, saving me from a future of, pain. What will be your, from one man to another, or from one human being to another, what will be your word of encouragement or advice to partners of, people going through a journey or a season, in
Mm,
their life?
I guess it's just perspective. As I said earlier, um, if you look at it from that, test assignment, perspective, it's like if you switch that mindset, um, and then obviously realize, who you're dealing with, and if you see in this person that, oh, this person is worth going through whatever it is that we need to go through, versus just enjoying the glitz and the glamour and the good all the time. Like we know, if you're, a sensible human being, like we all know that, everything is not going to be perfect or great. Things are going to happen. And when those things happen, you have to sit back and realize, okay, and identify that this is what it is. It's just something to go through. And it's just another test. You know, obviously we talk about education and stuff like that. You have different grade levels and stuff like that. Every grade level has a different adversity or another level of tests or things like that. So anytime you progress, if you will, or advance in life, that's a new challenge. And so
Mm,
any new challenge that you receive, you have to take that on. And so
mm,
if you just get to, let's say, the 10th grade or something like that, and oh, I can't deal with this challenge no more, I'm dropping out, I quit, then it's like that says something about you in that moment, at least. And so, from that standpoint, I have to keep that mindset, and I would tell anyone else to keep that mindset, to keep it, short.
mm,
And so, and think from that perspective and just not running away from adversity. Because if you always want to run away from adversity, or you always want to run away from something just because it's not going perfectly good, then that says something about you, or some things that you still have to learn in life in order to build that character and that fortitude.
mm.
wow, thank you very much. Thanks for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Those are like words on marble. Words on marble. Thank you. So, Sabrine, what has God shown you about healing, love, faith that you would want to share with others? God has given you a testimony, What has God shown you that, you will want to share with others that are walking through their own dark season as well?
Mm. So, as it pertains to love, faith, and healing, I would say to anybody married, single, whatever, child, um, it's never linear. Nothing is ever linear. So, faith is not linear. It's not this thing where it's like, oh, I believe, and
Right.
it's the end, right? It's like, okay, we're gonna see if you believe. We're gonna test you to see if you believe, right? We're gonna put you in a situation. I forget who said it. I forget if it was from a movie, but maybe it was. I think it was Morgan Freeman. He asked a question when you ask God for strength. He doesn't just give you strength. He gives you a situation where you can practice that strength and so forth and so on. And so I think those I just my biggest encouragement is to never think it's linear. Yes, it's difficult. Things get difficult. Love gets difficult because if we practice biblical love and it's talking about how it's patient and it's kind and it doesn't keep record of wrongdoings, and we know that we do that, it is a constant journey of learning yourself, and it's never going to be a finished product. You're going to be learning until the day you get up out of here, right? And so never think of it as this destination that you get to. Love is a destination. Faith is a destination. Healing is a destination. No, it's up and down. God, He will take you through some things. He will He will take you through some things, and it is really going to test you. I used to do taekwondo, and our chief would say, with high, every time we ranked up and got a belt, he would say, with higher rank comes higher responsibility. And I started to
Mm,
see that in my own life. It's funny because he mentioned school, and every level that you go to, there's a different requirement. His line of work is all about rank. Being in the military is all about rank. The higher you rank, the more responsibilities you get. And so that's my encouragement to you. It may be difficult, but just know it's not the end. You know, it's I don't want to say it in a way that kind of minimizes what you're going through, but remember, you're not the only one going through, right? So how you handle those situations really is a test of your faith. Cry if you need to, holler, scream, be mad if you need to. Go through those emotions, but know you can't stay there, right? And so I send love to anybody going through anything as far as healing in any regard, illness, their relationship with God, whatever it may be. You know, I send love to you. I send strength to you. And I pray that God puts you in those situations to strengthen you, right? Because it can get difficult, but I know that we going to make it, you know? So, yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Wow, thank you. You know, you said something. If you ask God for patience, it will not just give it to you. It will put situations in your life to help you practice. Because when you practice,
For
it
me.
sticks. Yeah, it will stick. Like it registers in your brain, right? So if you're going through something traumatic, I am so sorry that, that is the stage where you are right now. But like Michael did, see the end of the matter. He saw the end of the matter right from the beginning. He knew, oh, this is not unto death. She's going to be fine. So can you? And that is basically faith. That is faith explained without putting any bogus words to it. That is faith. When you can start something and you can get to the end of the matter, like, this is not unto death. She's going to be all right. She's going to be okay. Nothing is going to happen to her. So if you're going through something, can you see to the end of the matter and know that this is not to harm you? It is not to harm you. It is for a beautiful future that God has in stock for you. So thank you very much, Sabrina and Michael, for joining us today, for sharing your beautiful testimony. We have come to the end of today's episode. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and for listening to what we have to share today. I hope with the testimony today, you found some level of encouragement and you've seen the evidence again that God is good. God is love. And yes, He cares about you, you. Yes, He loves you so furiously. Never, ever forget that. Until we come your way again next time, bye bye. God bless you.